Hello, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, good American. So, whoever you care about the Syrian situation, as a matter of fact, I'd rather say you care about the United States.
Yes.
You would be interested in this issue. It's about our possible military attack to Syria because of their small havoc, because of the fact that somebody used the chemical weapons to kill their own people, because of 1429 people died while during the chemical weapon attack,
Right.
and among them, some 300 to 400 were children.
Yes.
Which was such a bloody picture that
Yes.
people think that the United States have to do something, and then that started the whole argument, the whole issue, discussion back and forth. We have opinions going for it, we have opinions going against it. At this moment, as we speak, in almost every major city, there's rallies going against it, saying no war, no more attacking to anybody like that kind of. And then in Congress, would at least have Senate voting on it. So, joining me, Mr. Ken Hemmings, a writer, and I call him a man with a big heart, and a lover of humanism.
Yes.
All right. So we talking about the general picture. We'll talk about the fact that there's going to trigger lots of consequences if somebody attacks Syria. So let's take another point of view. We are just out of a bad economy. We're just out of a bad war, at least Iraq. There's another one we're working on it, wrapping it up. We're trying to make it as fast as we can.
Yes.
So do we have the mind, do you think the general public would have the mind to go for it? I know there are a few members voting on it. All right, they might
But
more
in our
likely
example,
to
as
give
a
a
government
yes
of the
rather
people,
than no
by the people,
to this
for the
proposal.
people.
But to the
That's why I
general
made a
public,
second
though,
decision.
to average Americans, though,
seek
what do we
authorization
think? So
for
you and
the use
I
of
stand
force
for general
from the
public.
American
If you
people's
were supposed to
representatives
vote,
in Congress.
would you vote yes or no?
I would vote no. And I think the general public, we're not all gifted intellectually, but I think the general public has a wonderful common sense attribute. And that's something more people have, common sense, than awesome intelligence. And I respect the results of common sense more than I do just intellectual exercise. And so I would say, and the general public does not have as much to gain or lose from this, although the consequences may impact the general public dramatically, as the politicians making the decisions view the impact on their life and their career perhaps as much or more than the impact on the common citizen.
In other words, they're still making it a political issue.
Well, I think it's very hard for them to stay pure because it's sort of got into the system about saving your own hide and saving your own job, and how much can I get out of it.
And for my audience references, as far as I'm concerned, I always follow the majority. I believe it is a majority that makes sense. And I would say 99% of the time, once again, 99% is the majority.
Yeah.
99% of the time, I go for majority. I believe among the majority, there are brains, there are thinkers, and they probably represent what's right. And minority, even though sometimes there might be elite there.
Sure.
And, they do not stand for what the majority of the people think right now. While the American people, majority of American people go against it, right? Why would our representatives who are supposed to be representing us, voting yes on it? And the answer to Ken is that they make it a political issue.
And it's a power play, I think, by the current administration
How
to
can
get
they
their way.
make it a political issue? Because just now we just said this is one of the one of the few situations when we see mixed vote instead of party line,
Which we love.
and then we come back still call it a political issue. How can we do that in a reversed way?
Well, I think that's a very good point. And I think this is, in fact, I love what you just said, because I think it's allowing some of our representatives, senators, congressional people, whatever, to actually be forced out of their comfort zone, out of their comfort zone of thinking within themselves to consider the ramifications of acting alone, experiencing the cost in lives and money. I believe there would be a reduction of respect for America if we go about this alone. And the United Nations president just said that, you know, the only way that you should have a military action is when you're defending yourself. And I don't see in this case, perhaps wrong, that we're defending ourselves. And so it's forcing these people nicely for us out of their comfort zone to think alone.
Yeah, not necessarily. The time when we launched the Iraq War, we were not defending ourselves. We were selling freedoms.
Yes, but there was a fear where we had our Colin Powell, you know, convincing the United Nations there were weapons of mass destruction that they didn't find.
That was a fact.
Yeah, and I think at the time it was, but we never found them. Okay, there was a lot of time to hide them, whatever. And here, you know, we're not sure who's using it. We're not positive. They're saying they're positive, but we haven't seen any proof of it.
Once again, we're talking about a very, very specific, important subject. The subject being that, like I said, United States, we are Americans, we're a kind of people, we try to learn from the past.
Yes.
Right? We're smart enough that if you fall over one piece of rock, so you're making a mistake. If you fall the second time over the same piece of a rock, trampling the same piece of rock, and you're stupid.
That's right.
There's nobody else.
Once burned, twice learned, you know. Yeah.
Nobody else for it but yourself.
Right.
Now, back in 2003, everybody swearingly said that that was the truth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So Saddam Hussein was owner of the massive destructive weapons.
Right.
And later on, none of these investigation or research, whatever, came to support it. We know that was a lie, that was a fake. And we have, back then, we have Colin Powell swearing, say this to United Nations, and also to Congress.
I can still see it.
That was a fact.
Yeah.
Now, are we repeating the same thing, or are we possibly repeating the same thing?
Here's what I think the main difference is. In the case with Saddam Hussein in Iraq, that we knew the enemy, he'd been there many, many years, a couple decades, whatever, and we knew what he was doing, and we could see that we had a purpose of regime change. We believed and knew, I think, that we could win. There would be a victory. In this case, I don't see, they're not even talking regime change, and they're not talking victory. So I think those two things are hugely different. So I think the circumstances aren't exactly comparable. And I think this is a little bit more of an act of self-preservation and, you know, after drawing a red line that was not authorized to be drawn.
Exactly. In my last show, Mr. James Lee says that different from the Iraq War, which at the time we knew that we were supposed to oust Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
We're prepared with a replacement government, something like that. This time, we do not even know.
We don't.
We don't even know what
we don't have a
do.
purpose. What's the purpose?
Either we get Assad killed,
Yep.
we get him taken away. Who else are we supposed to put in position?
We don't know that. We don't know the
yet.
enemy. That's we don't know. And we don't know the survivors.
Yeah. We don't know who will survive the attack.
Right.
All right. Okay.
So you're exactly right.
That only makes the situation more complicated, are we?
It makes it more dangerous because the chances of misjudgment are greater than I think in the Iraq War. We took them out, and again that kind of showed that a lot of dictators in the end are cowards. Because he's hiding in a hole someplace.
Yeah.
And I think it's more, I just feel a lot less justification for this, particularly going it alone on a limited basis that has no positive, predictable outcome. That what is in it for the United States? I think we have more at risk than we have to gain.
Exactly. And we ourselves, I believe every single American is a living testimony to see how we felt ourselves at the time of launching the Iraq War.
Yes.
Right? Because that we see clearly how seriously gets our reputation hurt.
Yes.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Get our reputation, if not ruined, hurt.
Yeah, even though I thought that was more justified than this is. So if our reputation has been tarnished from that action, think of the possible ramifications for
Yes, yeah.
doing this.
Yeah, that's a good way to tarnish our reputation even further. If we create something out of nothing, out of a single issue. Back to your point, it's starting very beginning, it's the same as killing people with traditional or conventional bullets.
Well, let me make let me make a statement, just kind of a thought though, that's you know, when our President Obama ran for office, he said he would talk to anybody and he felt he could negotiate peace and safety anywhere in the world through his own personal charm or whatever, okay, or influence. And yet he has not even gone and talked to Assad. There's been no talking. And so whatever diplomatic activities that he predicted he would be able to do and succeed in hasn't been done. At least do that first. At least show that we're trying to do it in a peaceful way rather than taking a small incident, which every life is of equal value. So one dead baby makes my heart weak, okay? But if you're going to do it in processes, normal rational processes, he should do what he said he would do before we slap them.
All right, good point, good point, good point, very good point. So back to my audience, with me today is my good friend, Mr. Ken Hemmings, writer. He has just recently finished one book called Life Simple, 100 Words to Live By, which is the one that I hang myself on for several times, trying to go through chapter by chapter, see how valuable that book is. And in addition, we found Mr. Hemmings is a man of big heart, and also I call him a peace lover.
I am. Okay. I love you, man. I love people.
Okay, sure. With this peace lover, we shared his point of views about the Syrian issue versus the U.S. attack for the last 3 segments. For the last one, after this short break, we're going to find out more. So stay with us.